You probably have plenty of questions about how to buy a new construction home if that's the way you're thinking of going. We've got a video series where myself and Seth Belsey on our team are going to dive into the most common questions that we get when our clients are thinking about buying a new construction property. He does a lot of new construction. Seth, give us a little background of what you've done in the past.
Thank you, Taj. Yeah, so in the last 4 years, I've probably represented about 15 new construction projects, which maybe seems like a lot and maybe doesn't, but they take some time. So that's about on track out here for the coast. We have a saying that friends don't let friends build on the coast, but we're breaking tradition.
That's absolutely right. Yes, we want to help you find that new house that you can make yours from the beginning, or find that model that you love that a developer is building on the coast. And we also know that you probably have a lot of questions about what it is to buy a new construction home, and maybe some of the differences in buying new construction versus a resale home, or a home that was built 1 to 100 years ago. So we think it's best to dive into a lot of the most common questions that we're getting and then just answer those questions for you. So I will kind of lead the conversation with the questions. We'll let Seth start off with answering it, and then we'll just see where it goes from there.
Thank you.
Question number 1 is, what are my choices when I am thinking of buying a new construction home? Do I start right from the beginning? Do I find something that's already been started and go after that?
Yeah, good question. So your choices are to literally start from the beginning. Choose a plot of land that you're in love with and that you want and are capable of building on. Or, a lot of people just start, hey, it's time for me to go buy a house. What about new construction? What else is out there? Let's go see what stage. I just came across this development that has, we call it sticks in the air, that it's being framed at that moment. Mm-hmm. And hey, I wonder, can I jump in right now? And what would that look like?
So usually these days, especially, we're all basically starting our home search online.
Right.
So are there homes that are not built yet, and I'm finding those on a website like Zillow or other marketing that might be happening before the home's even been started?
Both. You will see both. You will see homes that are advertised to be built, and you will see homes that are in some phase of new construction out there. It's just when we start marketing these new construction that generally people will start prior to build, but it really depends on the developer. Some developers want to build exactly what they want to build to the spec that they know about. And some are open to changes along the way.
So when we talk about a buyer's choices in new construction, it could be, I want to find my land first and then find a builder custom home at that point.
Complete custom home at that point.
Complete custom home there. Or I'm shopping around, browsing online. You dive into something that looks interesting that's being built by a developer. They probably have like a development website that you can find more information about.
The bigger ones do.
Yeah. And then so maybe you fall in love with the concept the developer has, or the community that this new construction is being built in. And that could be your driving factor. So choices are infinite. Is that a good way to answer this first question?
I don't know about infinite, but you choose 1 or 2 doors, and then you choose another 1 or 2 doors once you walk through that one, and it starts to branch out that way.
Well, so then to help you make the choice at the end of the day, it's probably good to have an agent who has done new construction and kind of guide you along with the various paths that you may take.
Certainly that, yeah.
Okay.
Depending on where you are, you're going to need connections. If it's a total custom build, well, in Oregon, you're allowed to be your own general contractor.
If you have your own land and
scary.
Maybe not the first choice.
Maybe not the first
but
choice.
A choice.
But, there's all different types of people out there, and some are very capable and could probably organize such things, but it takes a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, I think that covers the first one. So the second question that we want to consider, that you've probably asked yourself, and you should consider if you're doing new construction as your next home, how long does it take to build and buy a new construction home?
So if you're starting from the beginning, from before permits, from maybe before purchasing
Like
a piece of land.
Raw land, or even before the land?
Yeah, it's a long process.
Year, two?
More than a year.
Yeah.
If you want a home in a year, do not buy raw land and start a new construction process.
You mean if you want to be in the home like in less than a year?
Yeah, if you need to move in the next 12 months, that's not your path. There might be homes that are under construction that have a completion date that are, that the developer can stick with, that you can count on. That would be a better choice for new construction if you've got a hard set date that you need to relocate by.
Okay, so the further along into the build, the more solid the finish date's going to be, and then that allows you as a buyer to know what that timeline for your needs is to be into the home.
Exactly.
If time is not as much of a factor for you, does that open up more, I would say that'd probably open up more customization options, but then that could drag out your timeline too.
Yeah, and it's going to really depend on that builder. Some will charge you for every change order, no matter what it is, on top of, normal things, the normal costs, which, is just puts the price out of reach for a lot of people. Some are open to easy things. Sometimes they're just like, okay, pick your color of LVP or pick your interior and exterior paint. Yeah. And that's it. And some we get into, you'll get a whole spec sheet with, every interior finish in the home, and you can make those choices early. And they'll even give you an allowance that says, hey, this front door is $3,000. If you want to pick a $2,000 front door, well, you get a $1,000 credit. Okay. If you pick a $5,000 front door, well, then your home is now $2,000 more than we agreed to.
Okay. Yeah. So there's some flexibility. It could cost you. And it could add more time to the time it takes to finish the construction project. So as far as how long does it take to get into a newly built home, it depends on where it is in the construction process when you get pending with your offer.
Yes.
If it's close to the end, it could be a few months, but in most cases, you're probably looking at a year or more if you're starting from scratch.
If you're starting from scratch, so now we need to go identify the land. So we go land shopping, and that takes the time it takes. It's just like any other listing in the market where you're going to have more in a seasonality and less in others, and you've got to negotiate
time to get over to the coast to look at the land.
Right. And then due diligence. You want to take your time to make sure you can build what you want to build. So you're going to need to check the zoning. You're going to need to check the outright allowances of that zoning.
And so then let's say you get to the point where you've purchased the land and now you need to find a builder,
right?
Work with an agent who knows new construction so that they have some resources for you on that.
Yep.
But builders are 6 to 12 months out on a custom home?
Yeah, to start a new job. That's probably right. That's probably spot on. 6 to 12 months.
So unless you're buying something that's about to be completed, you're looking at over a year, maybe even a couple of years to getting that new construction home.
It feels a little bit more seamless than just waiting for the builder, because now you've bought this land and you need to come up with the design.
Yeah.
So are you going to hire an architect, or are you going to go to, homes dot whatever and pick a design that you're going to modify with a draftsman or modify somehow to fit the building envelope? Every piece of land, the county will give you a space on it on which you can build a single family residence. And on most of the small development sites, it's particular. It could be only 45 by 60 feet, or it could be 80 by 70.
So there's so many variables. It's not really a question you can simply answer.
Right.
The time depends.
The time depends on that person. And a lot of times when I see people getting into the new construction, they're getting mostly what they want, but they're still making some personal concessions around those things that aren't 100%.
I've said for years and years and years, there's no such thing as the perfect house in real estate. And maybe even an element of that is true if you're building a new custom construction home even.
Yeah, I think that's just human condition stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
We get what we thought we wanted, and then we wanted a little different.
Oh yeah, I wasn't just thinking about it. Cool. All right, I think we beat that one to death a little bit. So we will move on to question number 3 of the common questions we hear when people are thinking about not buying new construction. What is included in the purchase price of a new construction real estate purchase?
What's included in the purchase price? Well, hopefully a brand new home that's got no problems at all. That's the big one. I think that's really the reason that people go to new construction is all these materials have an expiration date. Your roof, your siding, your carpet, even, your flat work and your millwork, your concrete and your wood finishes won't last forever.
Yeah.
And so they all have a clock. Some of them, that were done really well. Like we're talking about a 100-year-old house.
Yeah.
Maybe that front door is way nicer than anyone that you can buy right now. But if you're talking about a house that was built in 1992, that front door probably needs to be replaced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ongoing lifelong costs of a new construction home, more or less similar than if you were buying a resale home. And by resale, we just mean something that was built 1 or more years back in the past that's had multiple owners before you. So, ongoing costs are a factor. You might not have the initial ongoing costs that you would in a resale home, but over time, you're going to still have those same cost of ownership that are standard. When it comes to the purchase price on the day of closing, like you said, you're getting, a home that's move-in ready. We did in question answer number 2, we talked about the cost of customizations. Yes. So that would be one of those things that you may, let's say that you're looking online, you see a home that's under construction in a development, you say, this is great. It's a month away from closing and it's everything you want, and you go pending on it. You go look at the house and then you say, oh, I would love this paint color or this front door. Those are those customizations that could add cost to what you see when you see the listing on a place like Zillow or Trulia.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So those are the maybe hidden costs a little bit. And then the other costs are standard for any kind of real estate purchase. The cost to close out the home, you might have some lender costs. You'll have your title fees. You'll have your recording fees with the county. Those things are standard for new construction or buying an older home.
And there's a great advantage for that because, somebody else has been carrying those costs the entire time.
Yeah.
So, if you buy a piece of land and go get a construction loan, it's got interest that whole time. As soon as you take that money, you've got interest starting to accrue, where if you're buying somebody else's development, they're carrying those costs, literally. Right. So you can know what it is at the end. It's, that's a fixed number and maybe even a slightly negotiable number.
Yeah.
If you got Taj on your side.
That's right. Hey, I like that. If you are buying new construction, don't forget that it's always worth asking if the developer is offering any kind of incentives. And so that could be a cost savings in new construction.
Yes, absolutely. And you almost always can get some kind of customization if you're in there early enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they haven't already purchased that item, well, then you can switch it up generally. If there's no supply chain issue, if it doesn't create any headaches or hiccups, you can, get the countertops you want. You can get the color of cabinets you want.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we have gone through our first 3 common questions that we get from people interested in new construction, questions you've probably been thinking about yourself as well. This is a multi-video series where we will come back and answer the next 3 questions next time. So for Seth Belzy, Taj Richardson with Harcourts Home Oregon Coast, here to help with anything you need real estate wise. Be sure to follow us on YouTube and reach out if you need anything at all. Thanks so much.